the Big Ten was on a collegiate course of the NFL. The NFL has been run like a Fortune 500 company for a long time.
Yep.
They treat that league like a big time business, like like a Fortune 500, a top corporation. And that is how it's run to a T. And I mean, buddy, it goes far beyond what I think a lot of people can imagine as far as decisions and things that are made up. And the Big Ten as well, TV rights, having their own network first, just so many things that they were so progressive on, and always 2 steps ahead of everybody. I mean, the ACC, how long have they had their league now? 2 years?
The channel?
Yeah,
it's within the last 5. I know that. It might be 2 or 3. I'm not exactly sure.
How was the Big Ten 10 years ago?
15
years ago. Are you kidding me?
2000.
Even the SEC's network, it's a couple of years old.
Right.
The Big Ten was always first. And now not only not being first, but then being first and wrong, being last and wrong. It's just like they're just wrong. It's like, stop. What the hell? I mean,
well, and think about this too. It's not just the Big Ten network that was established that kind of changed the way we did television, but think about before Delaney left and the deals he was able to strike up with ESPN and Fox that made the Big Ten revenue share the biggest, like largest by a wide margin among any of the Power 5 conferences. I mean, you're talking about the SEC. The thing that I know Jim Delaney, he had good relationships with the ADs, with the coaches. He had good relationships with the presidents. But he also understood that these Big Ten universities are the largest in the country. Like, they produce the most alumni. They have the largest student base. You can take advantage of that. And I'm not sure that the current leadership is quite using that to its advantage now. What I will say is there is a prediction out there from Sports Business Journal that the Big Ten will cut ties with ESPN and go over to CBS and utilize that deal since the SEC's leaving. That could be a power move because I think you could ask a pretty good chunk of money from CBS. Now, we'll see what happens with that, but there's a chance for Kevin Warren to kind of right this ship a little bit if he's able to make some sort of big-time deal with CBS and keep that Fox relationship, because that is a very lucrative market, and the SEC is going to be hard to catch with Oklahoma and Texas joining up.
Well, I don't see them. ESPN has no reason to keep a relationship with the Big Ten other than the quality games, because their relationships go. The SEC network, that's an ESPN channel. The ACC network, that's an ESPN channel.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten network, well, they're owned by Fox.
Fox, yep.
So the relationship is already set with Fox. ESPN doesn't want a relationship with the Big Ten, like I said, other than marquee games. But CBS would value that because CBS is still that old school Brandon network. Big Ten is an old school Brandon network. Big Ten basketball in the wintertime. I mean, how that still goes back in my mind. I think back Indiana, Kentucky playing on CBS, all the national games on CBS. So it just, the relationship's already there. And I think CBS needs that.
Well, and I think the other thing about this is you look towards the end of the season and you have some of these premier matchups. What's interesting to me is a lot of people will complain about the Big Ten schedule, like the schedule of the games, because you'll have certain teams pitted against, you might have a premier matchup, like an Iowa-Minnesota, let's just say, is a rivalry game, and it's going up against Ohio State, Michigan State. And I'm pretty sure that ESPN is doing that on purpose because they want to try to hurt the Fox viewership as much as possible. I don't even think it's as much about their ratings as much as it is they don't want Fox to have that same sort of those big numbers, because a lot of those games, usually 3 of the 5 highest watched games are Big Ten games, and it's typically the ones on Fox because they get Michigan, Ohio State. They get Michigan State, Ohio State. They get Penn State, Wisconsin. They get some of these premier games. So I think the Big Ten ESPN thing has been waning for a while, and I think it will eventually come to an end, but it's going to be interesting. And how that's going to impact the college football playoff, the selection committee and all that stuff. Part of this is you've got to get other broadcast networks, other television companies involved with the playoff. It can't just be ESPN who controls the ranking show, who controls the SEC and ACC networks, who controls the semifinal rounds in the national championship game. To me, that's a conflict of interest. There's nobody really to govern any of that. So I think that would be a power move by the Big Ten to try to, and this quote unquote, the alliance with the Pac-12 and the ACC, to try to get other broadcast partners involved with not only the Big Ten side of the football coverage and CBS Sports, but then getting other broadcast partners involved with the playoff.
The alliance. You know what I think of as the alliance? When I hear the alliance, I think of Kevin Warren being outsmarted again and going around like a little kid going, "Hey guys, the SEC's they're gonna beat up on us. So why don't we get together? Come here and let's stand together." And a picture of 3 kids standing there. That's what I would see. That should be the commercial. 3 kids standing there going, "We're not going to take it, SEC." I mean,
it's like the Little Rascals.
What the hell was that? What they call that?
What they call the alliance?
The big, yeah. So what that turn out to be? That was
still nothing.
Exactly. It's just a bunch of smoke. People talking nothing about nothing. And that shows you, that right there shows me the leadership of the Big Ten, at least. I don't care about those other 2 leagues, but the Big Ten, that shows you right there the kind of leadership that they're under. That's just a bunch of crap.
The thing that was most interesting, frustrating, phrase it however you'd want, is the fact that 2 weeks or a week after, it might not even been a week after they announced this alliance for scheduling benefits and television markets and all that kind of stuff and working together, is the Pac-12 USC scheduled a neutral site game against LSU. So the scheduling advantage was supposed to be the Pac-12, ACC, and Big Ten teams would play each other and kind of block out the SEC. But that didn't even happen. So I don't understand what the point of it was.